Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Nathan woke up that Tuesday feeling like something was about to change. At 36, he'd learned to trust those instincts, the same gut feeling that guided him when he worked on complex electrical systems in Charlotte's high-rises. He drank his coffee alone while Emily finished getting ready upstairs. His 34-year-old wife had always been meticulous about her appearance, but lately he'd noticed something different: more elaborate makeup, tighter clothes, new perfumes he'd never picked out. When Emily came down the stairs wearing a gray blazer that accentuated her figure and heels she rarely wore, Nathan felt that familiar tightness in his chest. She looked beautiful, but not for him. That realization hurt more than it should have. The day passed normally. Nathan spent the morning installing electrical panels in a new office complex downtown, working with precision while his mind drifted. Emily had mentioned Brandon's name at least a dozen times in the past week. Brandon said this, Brandon suggested that, Brandon is so visionary. Her boss, a 40-year-old man Nathan had met once, had that overconfident air that always rubbed him the wrong way. Rich, good-looking, supposedly divorced, according to Emily. When Nathan got home at 6 p.m., covered in dust and sweat, Emily was already there, which was unusual. She usually stayed at the office until at least 7, sometimes 8. She was in the kitchen preparing an elaborate dinner: grilled salmon with asparagus, a bottle of white wine already open. Nathan's internal alarm went off. Emily never cooked on weeknights. "Hi, honey," she said with a smile that seemed too wide, too practiced. "I had a quieter day, so I thought I'd do something special." Nathan kissed her cheek, catching the expensive perfume, not the one he'd given her for her birthday. They sat down to eat, and Nathan watched Emily push food around her plate, clearly nervous. She filled her glass for the third time before finally blurting it out, "I need to tell you something. Brandon needs me to accompany him on a business trip to Miami this weekend." Nathan froze, fork halfway to his mouth. "Miami? This weekend?" "It's an incredible opportunity," Emily rushed on. "There are major investors who can only meet on Saturday. Brandon needs me to review the numbers. It's crucial." Nathan set his fork down. "And where are you staying?" "The Sunset Bay Resort. The company got a corporate rate. And before you ask," she added with a forced laugh, "we'll be in completely separate rooms." "It's just work, Nathan." There was something in the way she said it, the premature defensiveness, the overly casual tone, the inability to hold eye contact, that made something inside Nathan snap. He'd known this woman for 12 years. He knew when she was lying by the way she bit her lower lip, by the way her hands trembled holding her glass, by the guilty glint in her eyes. "When do you get back?" "Sunday night. We leave Friday morning." Emily stood up quickly, gathering the dishes. But Nathan was already worried. More than that, he was almost certain. That night, after Emily fell asleep, Nathan went down to the office and searched for Sunset Bay Resort Miami. The website showed a romantic paradise: suites with private hot tubs, candlelit beach dinners, couple spa treatments, a slogan that read, "Where love blossoms." There was no mention of meeting rooms or business facilities. Nathan read reviews from couples on honeymoons, wedding anniversaries, romantic getaways. Nobody mentioned being there for work. The ache in his chest turned to anger and determination. He wrote down the resort's exact address: Sunny Isles Beach, north of Miami Beach. Then he typed, "Private investigator Sunny Isles Beach." He needed someone local who knew the area. One result caught his eye: Victor Hernandez Private Investigations, Sunny Isles Beach, specializing in infidelity cases, 25 years experience, office 10 minutes from Sunset Bay Resort. Perfect. Nathan filled out the contact form at 2 a.m., detailing his situation. The reply came by 8 a.m., "Mr. Morrison, I received your message. My office is right here in Sunny Isles Beach, literally 10 minutes from the resort. I know the place well. I can start immediately. My rate is $150 per hour plus expenses. For a full weekend surveillance, I estimate $2,500 to $3,000. If your wife is being unfaithful, you'll receive high-quality photographic and video evidence, plus a detailed report with a full timeline. Nathan called from the car, parked in an empty lot. Victor's voice was professional, no judgment. How long have you been married? 7 years. We've been together 12. Are you sure you want this evidence? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Nathan closed his eyes, took a deep breath. I need to know the truth. I need certainty. Then you'll have it. The advantage of my office being in Sunny Isles is that I know every corner of this area, every entrance and exit of the resort. I'll be at the airport when they land, and I won't lose sight of them until Sunday. Nathan spent Wednesday and Thursday gathering information. When Emily left for work Thursday morning, he went through her home office and found the printed reservation hidden inside an old folder. His blood turned cold reading the details: one presidential suite, not 2 separate rooms. Reserved under the name Mr. and Mrs. Brandon Caldwell. Nathan took photos with trembling hands and sent them immediately to Victor. The investigator's reply was direct: that changes everything. They're being careless, which makes my job easier. You'll have your proof. Thursday night was silent torture. Emily packed in the living room, and Nathan watched, mentally cataloging every item: new summer dresses, new swimsuits with tags still on, expensive black lace lingerie. You're bringing a swimsuit to business meetings? Nathan asked, unable to hide the sarcasm. Emily laughed nervously. There might be time for the pool between meetings. I need to relax too. That night, lying in the same bed but separated by an abyss, Emily murmured, I love you. For the first time in 7 years, Nathan didn't say it back. Friday morning, Emily woke up early, unnaturally cheerful. She carefully applied makeup, chose a flowing white dress Nathan recognized from their first date. The irony was cruel. Bye, love, she said, leaning in to kiss him. Nathan turned his face at the last second, so her lips brushed his cheek. Emily looked confused, then quickly masked it. See you Sunday night. Nathan watched from the window as her Uber pulled up. When the car disappeared around the corner, he texted Victor, she just left. I'm counting on you. The reply came 2 hours later, along with the first photo. Victor had booked a seat on the same flight, a few rows behind. The image showed Emily and Brandon at the boarding gate, her laughing at something he'd said, his hand resting casually on the small of her back, too intimate, too familiar. Nathan felt sick. Updates kept coming throughout the day. Victor was meticulous, professional, relentless. They just landed in Miami. I'm following. Took a shared Uber, confirmed, not separate cars. I'm behind them in my car. 20 minutes to the resort. Photo after photo documented every moment, Emily and Brandon leaving the airport in the same Uber, arriving at the Sunset Bay Resort in Sunny Isles Beach, checking in together at the front desk, entering the same presidential suite with an ocean view. Victor sent a message, I'm positioned at the hotel. I've got a table on the ground floor with a clear view. They just left the suite, dressed for a beach dinner. An hour later came a short video of them walking along the beach at sunset, Brandon holding Emily's hand as she kicked off her shoes to feel the sand. The way she looked at him, eyes bright, genuine smile, that expression she used to save only for Nathan, was like a knife to the heart. They seem very comfortable together, Victor wrote. Based on body language, I'd say this affair has been going on at least a few months. This isn't new. Nathan dropped his phone on the couch and buried his face in his hands. A few months. While he worked hard installing electrical systems, coming home exhausted and covered in grime, Emily was in another man's arms. Saturday brought more devastating proof. Victor had snagged a table at the same beachside restaurant where Emily and Brandon dined, a romantic spot with candlelit tables and a violinist moving between couples. The fact that my office is here in Sunny Isles gives me access to every place they go, Victor explained in a message. I know the manager of this restaurant. Got the best seat for photos. The pictures showed Brandon holding Emily's hand across the table, the two sharing desserts, her wiping a bit of chocolate from the corner of his mouth with her thumb in an intimate gesture Nathan recognized because she used to do that with him. Another photo showed Brandon kissing Emily's neck as they waited for the car, his hand wrapped around her waist, both oblivious to everything around them. Victor sent a message that night. They went back to the suite around 10. Curtains are closed. Don't expect updates until tomorrow morning. Nathan couldn't sleep. He stayed awake all night, imagining what was happening in that suite, torturing himself with images he couldn't shake. Sunday brought the final, most painful evidence. Victor sent photos of Emily and Brandon having breakfast on the suite's balcony, still in robes, hair messy, wearing that satisfied look of someone who'd slept well. I'm in the resort parking lot with a clear view of their suite, Victor updated. Later, photos of them in the suite's private pool, Brandon kissing Emily in the water, his hands on places only a husband should touch, her returning the passion with a hunger Nathan hadn't seen directed at him in months. The last photo arrived at 3 p.m., Emily and Brandon in the hotel lobby, checking out, he with his arm around her shoulders in a protective, possessive way. They're on their way to the airport, Victor wrote. I'll compile everything into a full report and email it by 5. You'll have 47 high-res photos, 3 short videos, and a detailed timeline of every movement. I'm sorry for what you're going through. Nathan thanked him mechanically and started preparing. He didn't want violent revenge or a public confrontation. He wanted something worse. He wanted Emily to face the consequences of her choices, wanted her to lose everything the way he was losing. He'd already consulted a lawyer on Friday afternoon, a serious man named Richard Patterson, who listened to the story and said, with this evidence, the divorce will be simple and fast. North Carolina still considers adultery in asset division. You're in a strong position. Nathan printed all 47 photos at a 24-hour print shop, paying extra for photo-quality paper. Each image was sharp, undeniable, devastating. He laid them out chronologically on the bed, creating a complete visual narrative of Emily's betrayal, from the airport to the hotel, from the romantic dinner to the passionate kisses, from the lies to the painful truths. Then Nathan went to the mall and bought several large suitcases. He came home and methodically began packing Emily's things, clothes, shoes, beauty products, books, everything. He wasn't being cruel, just practical. She wouldn't be welcome in that house after what she'd done. At 7 p.m. on Sunday, Nathan sat on the marital bed with the 47 photos spread across the white comforter. He'd practiced what he'd say, how he'd stay calm and controlled, but when he heard Emily's key turn in the front door lock, he felt rage boil inside him. She came upstairs dragging her suitcase, and he heard her pause in the hallway, probably noticing his suitcases stacked near the bedroom door. Emily walked into the room with a tired but satisfied smile, the smile of someone who just had a perfect weekend. Hi, love, it was such a productive trip. Her voice died when her eyes landed on the bed. Color drained from her face as she processed what she saw, dozens of photos of her and Brandon, each capturing a different moment of the weekend, each an undeniable proof of infidelity. Her and Brandon at the airport, smiling. Her and Brandon checking into the same suite. Her and Brandon dining romantically by candlelight. Her and Brandon kissing on the beach. Her and Brandon in the pool, bodies entwined. Photo after photo after photo, a complete, undeniable timeline of her betrayal. Nathan. Let me explain, Emily whispered, her hands shaking violently. Nathan stood slowly from the chair where he'd been sitting in the corner of the room, his face a mask of icy calm that terrified Emily more than any shout could have. Explain, he repeated, voice dangerously low. You want to explain how these photos lie? How the man you spent the weekend with isn't Brandon, your married boss? How the presidential suite you shared, not separate rooms, Emily, one suite, was just a booking error. Tears began streaming down Emily's face. Nathan, I'm so sorry, I didn't want it to be like this, it was a mistake, a mistake? Nathan laughed, but it was a sound without humor. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. A mistake is being late for dinner. This, he pointed to the photos, this is a choice. You chose to lie. You chose to betray. You chose to destroy our marriage. Emily took a step forward, reaching out her hands in supplication. Please, can we talk about this? Can we go to couples therapy? I'll end it with him, I promise. Don't touch me, Nathan said coldly, stepping back. Don't you dare touch me with the same hands that touched him. Emily sobbed, knees weak, gripping the dresser to keep from collapsing. Nathan, please, I love you, it was a moment of weakness, you love me? Nathan interrupted, voice rising for the first time. You love me? People who love don't spend an entire weekend sleeping with their bosses in luxury hotel suites. People who love don't lie looking their spouses straight in the eyes. You don't love me, Emily. You love the security I provide, the comfortable life we built, but you don't love me. He pulled out his phone and opened his email app, showing the screen to her. Before you keep lying, I want you to know these 47 photos and 3 videos have already been sent to some very interested people. Brandon's wife, oh, you didn't know he was still married? Convenient how he told you he was divorced, received everything by email exactly 2 hours ago. I included the full report from the private investigator I hired in Sunny Isles Beach, with timelines, locations, even the amounts you charged to the corporate card. Emily's face twisted in horror. You hired a detective? And that's not all, Nathan continued, ignoring her question. Your company's HR department also received a complete file. I documented every cent of corporate funds you used for this romantic weekend, the luxury hotel, the expensive dinners, even the champagne you drank in the suite. Corporate fraud is serious, Emily. You and Brandon didn't just betray your spouses, you stole from the company. Emily collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. You destroyed my life, she whimpered between tears. You destroyed everything. Nathan felt a sharp pang of something, not quite pity, but something close, before the rage surged back with full force. I destroyed your life? Me? He knelt in front of her, forcing her to meet his eyes. You destroyed your own life when you decided to sleep with your boss in Miami while I was here at home, working like an idiot to maintain our lifestyle. You destroyed your life when you chose lies over truth, lust over love. Don't put that on me. He stood, regaining his icy composure. You have 10 minutes to gather what you can carry and leave my house. Your suitcases are in the hallway, I've already packed the essentials. The rest you can retrieve later, by appointment and with my lawyer present. I don't want you sleeping under the same roof as me for even one more night. Emily looked at him with red, swollen eyes. Nathan, please, can we at least talk tomorrow when we're calmer? There's nothing to talk about. My lawyer will file the divorce papers tomorrow morning. With this evidence, it'll be fast and simple. Take your things and go. I have nowhere to go. That's not my problem anymore, Nathan replied with a coldness he didn't know he possessed. You should have thought of that before. Maybe Brandon can house you. Oh, wait, no, his wife probably kicked him out too. He glanced at the clock. 9 minutes. Emily tried to argue, beg, negotiate, but Nathan was unyielding. He stood like a statue while she, weeping, dragged her suitcases down the hallway and stairs. He heard her call someone, probably a friend, asking for a place to stay, her voice breaking in desperation. When the front door finally closed, the silence that filled the house was deafening. Nathan returned to the bedroom and looked at the photos still spread across the bed. He gathered them one by one, placing them back in the envelope, before collapsing onto the bed and, for the first time since it all began, allowing himself to feel the full weight of what he'd lost. He cried, deep, shuddering sobs that shook his whole body, not just for the destroyed marriage, but for the woman he thought he knew and who apparently never existed. But alongside the pain came something else, a strange sense of relief, of justice, of dignity preserved. He hadn't lowered himself, hadn't become violent, hadn't done anything he'd regret. He'd simply defended his worth, his right not to be deceived and humiliated. And somehow, that made the pain bearable. The weeks that followed brought swift, devastating consequences. Brandon's wife, Patricia, a corporate attorney, filed a divorce so brutal it left the man financially ruined. She'd suspected the affair for months, and Nathan's photos were the final proof she needed. Patricia ensured Brandon lost not just half his considerable assets, but also his reputation in Charlotte's business community. The scandal spread like wildfire through consulting firms. A boss who had an affair with a subordinate using company funds was the kind of story that ended careers. Emily's company HR department moved with startling speed. An internal investigation revealed Emily and Brandon had used corporate cards to fund not just this Miami trip, but 3 earlier business trips to Savannah, Charleston, and even the Bahamas. The total exceeded $15,000 in fraudulent expenses. Both were fired immediately for cause, with no notice, no severance, no references. Emily's termination letter cited gross violation of ethical conduct and misappropriation of corporate funds. The news spread quickly through Charlotte's financial industry. Emily applied for other financial analyst positions, but the community was too small, too interconnected. Everyone knew what she'd done. Interviews dried up as soon as recruiters ran background checks and spoke with former colleagues. She ended up taking a job at a small accounting firm earning half her former salary, with none of the benefits, prestige, or promising future she'd thrown away. Brandon fared even worse. Patricia's divorce left him with significant debt and alimony obligations that consumed most of his income. He had to sell his luxury home in Myers Park, his sports car, even his boat on the lake. His reputation as a financial consultant was ruined. Clients didn't entrust money to someone who'd stolen from his own company. He eventually left Charlotte entirely, moving to a smaller town hoping to restart somewhere no one knew his name. Emily tried contacting Nathan several times in the first weeks, tearful text messages, long emails begging for forgiveness, even showing up at their house one Saturday afternoon, pleading for a second chance. Nathan didn't respond to any message, deleted every email without reading, and when she showed up in person, he simply called the police for trespassing. He'd drawn a clear line and wouldn't cross it, no matter how much she begged. The divorce process was surprisingly fast. With undeniable photographic evidence of adultery and testimony from private investigator Victor Hernandez, the judge granted Nathan extremely favorable terms. North Carolina was one of the few states that still considered adultery in divorce rulings, and the judge made clear his disgust for Emily's behavior. Nathan kept the house, most of their joint savings, and didn't have to pay a penny in alimony. Emily walked away with her clothes, her used car, and a significant credit card debt she'd accumulated trying to maintain appearances after losing her job. Mutual friends of the couple quickly took sides, and most sided with Nathan. After all, it was hard to defend someone who'd lied so brazenly and betrayed so publicly. Emily lost not just her husband and career, but her social circle, her reputation, her place in the community. She became a cautionary tale, the woman who threw everything away for a stupid affair with her boss. Nathan, in turn, went through a deep but necessary period of grief. He went to therapy, reconnected with old friends, threw himself into work. His electrical business grew, clients appreciated his honesty, attention to detail, unwavering integrity. 6 months after the divorce, Nathan was on a job site installing wiring in a new home when a woman approached. She was the project's architect, a woman with dark hair and gentle eyes named Sarah, who'd noticed Nathan's work ethic and his professional yet warm way of dealing with the crew. They started talking during coffee breaks, first about the project, then about life. Sarah was divorced too, understood the pain of betrayal, but had found strength in rebuilding. Nathan wasn't ready for a new relationship, the wounds were too fresh, the trust too fragile, but Sarah respected that. They became friends first, building a foundation of mutual respect and honesty that Nathan now knew was essential. There was no rush, no pressure, just two broken people finding comfort in each other's company. One autumn afternoon, nearly a year after that terrible Sunday night, Nathan was driving through downtown Charlotte when he saw Emily on the sidewalk. She was leaving a discount grocery store, carrying shopping bags, wearing simple clothes that stood in stark contrast to the designer outfits she used to wear. She looked older, tired, the weight of shame visible in her slumped shoulders. For a brief moment, their eyes met through the car window. Nathan saw recognition, then pain, then something that looked like genuine regret, for the first time. Emily lifted her hand slightly, as if to wave, but Nathan simply looked away and kept driving. There was no anger left, not even satisfaction in her fall. Just indifference. She'd become a stranger, someone he'd known in another life. Nathan moved forward because it was the only direction that made sense. He'd learned that dignity didn't come from revenge, but from holding to your principles even when you were most hurt. He'd discovered that justice wasn't about destroying the one who hurt you, but about not letting them destroy you. And most importantly, he'd understood that sometimes the most powerful act isn't forgiving or forgetting, but simply moving forward, carrying the lessons learned and the certainty that he deserved better. The marriage had ended, but Nathan had survived, and in surviving, found a kind of victory no revenge could offer, the victory of looking in the mirror and respecting the man staring back. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.